Many thanks for staying with us on RDA. Now let's get straight to our discourse. Now, following the tension in Ondo State as a result of the death of the former governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, the indigents and residents of the state can now heave a sigh of relief as all the political drama surrounding the state from late last year appears to have finally ended. Or has it? The new governor has since been sworn in and resumed work, making some appointments. However, the drama that took place within that period is worthy of note. Do not forget that we're still seeing that there's certain people who still do not support, the governor's assumption of power. But we're going to see how that unfolds. Well, my co-anchor here, who's also the correspondent who put together the story, he's been there for forever. He's been covering the story. He put this together. Let's take a look.
The year 2023 will go down as one of the most memorable years in the political history of Ondo State. A year when politics was at play and the people were left confused for a while, seeking answers. It all started when the former governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, took ill and had to be flown abroad for treatment.
Let's just take it from September 7th, when the governor of Ondo State came back from his medical leave from Germany. Yeah, he arrived in Ibadan on September 7th, and a meeting was held the following day. He held a meeting with the ESCO member, the House Assembly member, stakeholders, and the party hierarchy. And since then, he hasn't been to Ondo State.
There were claims and allegations that certain persons in top government positions were taking advantage of the governor's ill health for their own personal gains.
We are not afraid to mention him. The Commissioner for Finance, the governor's wife, the governor's son, the secretary to the state, and some political bigwig, the chairman of APC in Ondo State. They are seriously making Ondo State, as I'm talking with you now.
After weeks of pressure from opposition and even the intervention of the president, the governor formally handed power to his deputy, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, to assume office as the acting governor and then proceeded on another medical leave in Germany. But this was after Aiyedatiwa had suffered what some called persecutions. Earlier, there had been calls for the deputy governor's impeachment, but the specific reasons for this weren't stated. In any case, Aiyedatiwa became the acting governor, but there still were those who wanted the governor to resume or resign, saying the people did not vote for an acting governor.
He hasn't done what the people want. What the people want is for Governor Akeredolu to completely accept, if he could, that he can no longer run the state and let the state be. Leave power and let there be a substantive governor, which is his deputy. That is what is needed, and we are asking that he should completely leave.
Then on Wednesday, December 27th, 2023, the governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, passed away and his death was announced. Ondo State residents were thrown into mourning.
Ikú gómìnà wa jẹ́ ẹ̀dùn ọkàn gidi fún wa nítorí pé ó ń jẹ́ the first time tá máa kọ́kọ́ lose gómìnà ní Ondo State. Ikú yẹn gan lágbára, I expect ikú tó pa gómìnà wa.
As is stipulated by the Constitution, Aiyedatiwa was later that day sworn into office as the executive governor of Ondo State. The next few hours after that saw some government officials throw in the towel.
Those who have resigned so far will be in a better position to explain to the people why they took the decision, because the governor has not sacked anybody. Unfortunately, during the crisis, some people overplayed their hands, were excessive. Maybe those who are resigning now, maybe they are part of those who perhaps overplayed their interest during the crisis.
Another point raised was the relationship between the new governor and the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, as some suggested the Speaker was one of those behind the impeachment plot of the governor while he was a deputy. The Speaker had this to say in an exclusive interview with News Central.
The issue is not between me and him. You know what it means when you are talking in terms of impeachment. It is not emanated from the House of Assembly. It's originated from the executive. We have been working together. He was the deputy governor of the former governor. So there's no way, and we have transmitted power to, Mr. Governor have transmitted power to him more than 4 times of which I have worked with him closely. But when the issue of politics came up, you know what it means. So, and I want to give you 100% assurance that the relationship is very cordial now.
On the last working day of the year, the House, while still mourning the late governor, sat to pass a bill for a law to authorize the issuance from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the state, after which they were to proceed on recess till 30th January 2024. According to the governor's chief press secretary, both the governing class and the people of the state are now ready to give their undivided support to Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa now that the worst of the storm has passed.
We have nothing to gain by recalling past experiences and what the new governor faced while he was, even before he became acting governor and when he was acting governor. Like he has said, like he promised during his swearing in, what we need to do now is to look forward.
While the prayers of the indigents and residents of Ondo are with the new governor, it is clear that the shoes he has to fill are large ones, especially as the state heads into an election year. All eyes will strongly be focused on the new governor to see what his first few moves will be, especially who he picks as his deputy. In Akure, for News Central, I am Bernard Akede. All right, now that was quite a report there, put together by myself anyway. We were in Ondo State, Akure to be precise, twice in the month of December. Following the story, sadly, eventually the governor did pass away and his deputy was eventually sworn in as his constitutional, and he's now the acting governor, or the executive governor, I beg your pardon, of Ondo State. Now, joining us to shed more light on this is a youth leader from Ondo State and a social media personality. His name is Oluyemi Fashikbe. Oluyemi, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Bernard. Thanks for bringing me here. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. And I know we spoke earlier. You said you are still holidaying in London. I envy you. I envy you so much.
Man needs to rest, man.
I know that. I know that. So let's quickly, sink our fingers into the matter right now. Now, you've been following the political happenings in Ondo State, your state, as we have as well from here, in the last few months. Now, kindly tell us what you think, what you think about everything that's happened. And do you think the worst has really passed? Is the worst really behind us now, as the chief press secretary of the governor said in that report?
Yes, thank you, Bernard. If you have followed, the trend in Ondo State in the last about 8 months, since the late governor left for medical treatment and handed over to now governor, then it was the deputy. A lot of things have happened. Yes, I know that all of these things was tending towards the political year. This year is our election year in the state. So some of us who understand how it works, within the state, talking in terms of governance and politics, understand that there was a whole lot of political play by political actors who have diverse interests, as to who emerges the next governor of Ondo State, and knowing fully that now that then that the governor was sick, the current governor in acting capacity would probably have an edge over others who are aspiring to be governor in the state. So that was, what we experienced, a lot of attacks, coordinated media attacks, and a whole lot of impeachment, threat of impeachment, move of impeachment, and a lot of that, which Mr. Lucky Aiyedatiwa eventually escaped through. And fast forward to now, I can tell you categorically that normalcy has restored to the state. Everywhere seems to become unlike the usual goals that we used to have before. Now, normalcy has returned because at the point we had a vacuum in governance, which was really affecting the welfare and how the state was being ruled as a matter, for not having an active governor for a while. It really, down on a lot of the government activities in the states, which we all know that the people are always at the receiving end. So, but now I can tell you categorically that normalcy has returned to the states. The people are happy that we now have a functional governor, even though we are still mourning the former governor, but then the state is now picking up from, where we left it about a few months ago.
Right. Now, we do understand that everything is returning back to normalcy, but then, just as you already know, there was an exclusive interview with the chief press secretary of the new governor, and he did mention that the governor is willing to let everything go. But considering everything that happened, I mean, some people made some drastic decisions that probably would have changed the political climate of the state if things got out of hand. Don't you think that some people should be made accountable, or some people should be brought to book based on the actions that they took?
Yes, for me as a person, a concerned citizen of the state, I feel like a lot of things should be readdressed, especially the ones, the one I'm most concerned about was during the time that the governor was incapacitated and we didn't have an active governor, especially when, eventually when one of the cabinet member of the government was out and, he made allegations and substantiated it with forensic proofs that the governor's signature, the former governor's signature was being forged to approve memos and funds. I believe those are, allegations that the state needs to revisit so that if we have public funds that have been mismanaged, yes, the people who are involved should definitely pay for it. Not just for now, to set a precedence that because for us in Ondo State, we had a standard when it comes to governance, and it almost looked like we lost those standards in a few months, and we really need to, get back to our feet and keep, move on and keep pushing. But then, like the CPS said, being the person of Mr. Loki Aiyedatiwa, the current executive governor, he might want to, not make reference or go back to revisit issues. But then, like I said, financial mismanagements are not just issues that we should look away from. There are issues that affect everybody because it's a public fund, taxpayers' money, money that, is supposed to be, for everybody. If it has been mismanaged or stolen at any point, I believe that, I feel that it should be investigated, and whoever or persons that must have been involved in such activities needs to be, dealt with in accordance to the law.
Definitely, we'll keep our eyes on that to see what the executive governor will decide to do. He has graciously and magnanimously said, according to his chief press secretary, that he would let bygones be bygones. But then after this, the unfortunate passing, demise of the former governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, whom, everybody knows quite well, people in Akure, the state capital, who we spoke to, spoke very, very highly of him. Now, he's a lawyer, as we all know, and was former president of Nigeria Bar Association. He's been praised for the infrastructure that he put in place. They talked about the bridges, the roads, the schools, and of course, let's not forget Amotekun, the regional security agency that he spearheaded the establishment of. This was largely, some of the things that he was credited for. But for his successor, who is coming in now, Loki Aiyedatiwa, what exactly do we know about this new executive governor, especially as expectations of him are quite high?
All right, thank you. I'd like to say that not having an active governance in the state for a few months simply means that there are a lot of work to be done. There are certain things that have not been done in the past few months, which we need to quickly address. And I'm sure that the executive, the current governor, understands some of these things because it has been the highlight of people's voices. I was at the forefront of demanding for, the transmission of power to the current governor as acting governor, while the former governor was alive, and we stated a whole lot of reasons why that should be done, because he created a vacuum in governance, and the the duties, the people were lacking a lot of things, and it was so very obvious from the activities that even in Akure, which happens to be the capital of the state, you can easily tell that, oh, something is missing in this state. It became very dark. Akure became very dirty. It was so obvious that nobody was driving the power of, like, there was no leadership. So now that we have a leadership, we have a whole lot of us that always identify the issues and let it known to the government. So I believe in the person of Mr. Loki Akeredolu to do the needful. Some of these things are already on his table, and he already started on a good note. Immediately he has signed the 2024 budget, and he signed that into law almost immediately. And recently, I'm aware that he had, started paying the civil servant of the some of the arrears that have not been paid, and also made some certain promises that will take place almost immediately in terms of recruiting health workers, which happens to be one of our major challenge in the state. I've always been on top of my voice shouting that, talking about the current health system in Ondo State, how bad it is. Considering the fact that a lot of people have traveled, majority of the health workers have traveled, and the state has not employed new staffs in a while, and a whole lot of things. But then I think it's starting on a good note, and we'll always pinpoint and highlight some of these issues to him, and we'll hope that he's going to deliver, based on the trust that we currently have in him.
Right. Finally, and very quickly, the governor, Akeredolu, is expected to pick a deputy sometime soon. Now, based on your knowledge of Ondo State, and if it were up to you, what qualities do you think the governor should be looking out for that the people of Ondo State need?
Okay, like I mentioned, I know that it's more like a political season, and this time it's always very difficult for politicians to think about governance. But then I think Mr. Lucky should look out for somebody who can go beyond completing this tenure, because he is the incumbent governor, and that means that it could be the next governor after the election. So whoever his choice of deputy should be somebody who can actually run a government with him, not just somebody who is considered because, this tenure should finish. I don't know if you're getting that point. Like, it's not just somebody that should be made deputy governor to finish this tenure. He has to be somebody that is capable enough to run as deputy governor, and to run, in place of a governor in case of uncertainty. And that being said, it also has to be somebody who has a track record of competence, track record of love and care for the people, and must have done something relatable for the people. It doesn't have, it must not be political, just picking somebody because maybe the party wants someone, or maybe the sentiment of, oh, somebody has to complete this tenure. He has to be somebody that can add value to the government.
All right, Oluyemi Fashipe, youth leader from Ondo State, thank you so much for shedding more light on this issue. We do pray and hope that with this new year, things will definitely get better in the Sunshine State. And we definitely look forward to the election year that we're in. Once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Bernard. Thank you.